Hello. What's up, guys? It's been a long time. If you can't tell, we are, I'd say, hopefully further than the middle of, but in the middle of a short path distillation. And we are, again, I think a little more than halfway through collecting our main fraction. I did pull some terps too, and I'm very excited about that. So how's everybody doing? It's been long enough, right? You guys want to see what's going on a little bit closer? So underneath these ropes, obviously, well, that's hot as shit. There's a boiling flask. It's hot as shit. Poop, I mean. As you can see, it's boiling enough that the vapors are coming across right here over the shoulder. And then when they go through this condenser, they recondense into a liquid, or a very thick liquid, if you will. And when it comes out of that head, I grab it in the mono cow here, which is just this piece. This is just so that I don't have to use the cow that I used to rotate some years ago. What's up, Austin? It has been a while. And as you can see then, there's our fraction of distillate running down, which I'm going to have to use the heat gun here soon. But look at that. Beautiful. And by use the heat gun, I mean, you can see here in that joint where within the next couple minutes, it's about to clog up. So, or it would if I don't warm it up. But yeah, this is a distillation of some material that I extracted for a dispensary owner, a grower here in Montana, and the extraction just came out a little dark, and so decided to do a little something different with it. Say what's up to you guys. How y'all been, man? It's been a long time. Good God. I can't even tell you how many different places I've tried to work since the last time we all done this. But let's see what's up here. Cryptic. What's up, Dirty? How you doing, man? So, in the middle of a short path distillation, and when I was showing you that I was able to grab terps off in the what that specifically means is that long before I'm up to anywhere near temperatures that I'm hitting right now, on the mantle specifically, and then on the mantle, and then at the head specifically. Long before that, because I have this very quiet, very powerful pump running in the background, I was actually able to, I think I was able to pull a terpene fraction. I don't know. There might be some of that burnt rubber in it, though. I'm not 100%. I know, right? Oh my God, I am chunky. Let's see. I guess since the last time, because I was looking, it's probably been like 6 months. I'm probably 15 or 20 pounds heavier. My thoughts on Delta 8 are that if you are anywhere and you are interested in it, I currently have a kilogram of it. Just a little over a kilogram. Hi there. I'm from Durban, what's up? So my thoughts on it as far as personal like usage, I don't know. I think that it might have some like medicinal benefit for some people who just either have a very low tolerance or are don't consume very often or are new to cannabinoids. Maybe there's a case to be made there, but for me personally, I don't really I don't know. It's not usually what I'm going for. All right. Let's see what we got here. Shout out from Tulsa. What up, Tulsa? You're absolutely right, Austin. I wish I could afford one like this too. And to be perfectly honest with you, what you see here is like what it looks like in the video. What's featured is like not it. I mean, yes, this mantle is a mantle that functions and it gets to the temperature that I'm expecting it to get to, but really where the money is here is in this glassware. Cold trap is a cold trap if it seals, you know what I mean? But in this glassware, and the boiling flask as well, and where the real money is down here on the floor. I'll bring you around. Let's see if I can do that here. Do I know how to work this thing? Probably not. You guys remember, it's still me. Anyway, that little girl right there is a beast. Probably, and by beast, I mean all around. Like, probably pay my rent for a year with that thing. So I agree. I would love to be able to afford equipment like this too. I'm very, very, very blessed to get to use it and to work with the people that I have the fortune to work with, and etc. I think I saw a question in here. Higher efficient fractionation. Yes. Oh yeah, dude. I'm sorry. I should have read the rest of your fucking statement. You're absolutely right. Yeah, the heads are, and that's not only is this head awesome, but this monocal setup is pretty amazing because it makes it so that I never change vacuum on the pot except for a little bump whenever after I've changed the flask, and then once I've changed the flask and I, pull this stopper back up and I basically add that little flask into the system, then obviously that flask has to be pulled under vacuum too. So you do see on your vacuum gauge, you do see a bump. If you do, I always set it up like a line graph so I can watch what it's done over the last 10 minutes. But, so yeah, you see a bump, but it's way more efficient than the spinning of a cowl. I mean, that's how I did it for years. So obviously it works, but it's kind of hard to keep I was able to pull some mucky, stinky stuff off. Sorry, so that flask is already clean. But the last little bit of ethanol by getting to a temperature that ethanol just cannot survive, and under vacuum even. But just after that, I grabbed this, which I don't know, I feel like it might have some of that burnt rubber smell. But I might have grabbed a nice terpene fraction. But anyway, with the cowl, or the udder, if you will, when you rotate, of course you can, spend some of your mains into your head and into your tail, and giving you a really nice, tight main fraction. But it's still inside of the entire system, all under vacuum together, with that mucky, rubbery, crappy smelling stuff in your first ball. So this monocal setup allows me to pull that gross stuff, sorry if you can't see it there, the gross stuff off of the beginning of the crude oil, and the last little bit of ethanol, then we got some mucky stuff, and now we're into our main fraction. Depending on what temperature I hit when I start to see this getting over half full, that'll be just when I decide whether or not we're going to get into tails soon. And this is a small enough run that I probably won't even collect them. I'll probably just clean the boiling flask and then run that through with the next distillation. Robert Moore, so the question is simply just because of a bag appeal or sorry, shelf appeal, jar appeal, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is that when something's a lighter color, it sells faster. People look at it and go, ooh. And there's still so many people, and if for you like using a phrase like natural terps, yeah, your point is valid, and I'll kind of I have a little something I want to say on that. But at the same time, for you to even be saying natural terps means that you are different than most of the typical cannabis consumer. The typical cannabis consumer, the very first thing they say is something like, "What's the highest percentage THC you have?" When they walk up to the desk or the whatever. The register or whatever in their dispensary. So yes and no. So, and by yes and no, I mean yes, that when CRC is done in a situation where you're literally just trying to pull color and you don't have the ability to, to run 2 or 3 or even 4 times the amount of solvent through your system. So if you're running obviously, if you're running like 1 pound of cannabis and you're going to remediate it because it's old or whatever, and you're going to run 5 pounds of butane through that 1 pound of cannabis, you need to have the capability to run 20 pounds through and recover the same, all of it, all the way back to that, 1 pound that you lose. You usually use 1 pound of solvent per material, but per pound of material. So the answer to your question is yes, it does. It does and can mess with the terpene profile when the filtration media is not properly flushed. But if you have a sintered disc that's a submicron sintered disc, not only will it keep all that media completely separate from any of your oil and completely filter that out, but you can't even get through it without pretty serious PSI from your nitrogen tank. Once you flush that media, that filtration media, let's say it's just activated carbon, just that dark gray powder, but it's just T5 carbon. But anyway, that's what you're using, and you're pulling color with that, or you're pulling fats with that, whatever you're trying to do. If you use the amount of solvent necessary to flush it of everything that the media will let go of, like cannabinoids and terpenes, you can get it all. You just need to have, you need to have the ability to run the amount of solvent necessary. I remediate some products that end up, I've talked about. I feel like I've talked about this for a long time, but I consistently have to say, no, this is not live resin. No, this is not live resin. No, this is not, because it looks amazing and smells crazy, Hell yeah, full video on jar tech. That's it. Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it. Exactly, Dirty. Way to put it, man. To make it more palatable and pretty for, yes, exactly. Well, not because a lot of people don't get that the general consumer really is like, a tourist in not just whatever town they're in, but to cannabis, you know what I mean? Yeah, Dirty, of course. You're absolutely right, man. And that's why I'm saying, like, in situations where they don't use enough solvent, they leave things behind that they shouldn't, that end up remediating the quality of the product, not the contaminant of the product. But having said that, if they're not using that sintered disc that I mentioned, which is the most common thing that I see, people that reach out to me for consultation, whether it be online or in person or whatever, when they want to dial in how to make clear things. It's how do I make clear shatter? How do I make clear this? How do I, the first thing that I always get there and see is that they're not even using a sintered disc. They're using like a series of filter plates with filter paper or whatever. And that's great, but the amount of pressure that you generally have to use to get through the filtration media when it's wet with butane and oil it's way too, you absolutely need that sintered disc, or you can't guarantee that there's not filtration media particulate in your hash oil, and you definitely don't want that. So we're getting close to a clog here. Biochemistry and a love for, see, that's what's up, man. Now you got it. Same way, yeah, exactly, bro. Just So I have just been doing it since I was in college to not learn how to do this, you know. But now you can go to school to do, literally, there are cannabis extraction programs in some schools. So I'm sure somebody here in the chat maybe could throw something up, but there's a couple in California. Excuse me. The way that I did it was knowing that I could do these things, run, you know, make butane hash oil, make short path distillate, or run a short path distillation setup like this. This I did learn how to do in college, so that's kind of a cheat, but this is not hard. This is not hard. Running the closed loop, purging oil, of course bubble hash, etc. All of that I knew that I was good at, and so I knew that I could do. And so I just, when I eventually lived in a place where there was a dispensary, I got a job bud tending. And at some point I talked the owner into letting me do whatever I did with the first little bit of trim. And I'm pretty sure it was distillate, because this is still people look at this and think like Walter White or something, or think like some level of organic chemistry that's just, if you're unfamiliar with this, I get that it may be intimidating, but it's very, very simple. These pieces only fit each other in a certain way. So it's not even like, I mean, I don't know. It's, yeah. Speaking of which, I got along with this series, you know, along with, on the beginning of this distillation, I recorded a few things that I'm trying to beef back up the Patreon. So, and not necessarily in, patron count. I'm trying to beef back up the amount of content for the patrons that have been there that I just owe. Oh my God, you guys, whoever's still over there, man, fucking like nothing but love. And I got some great distillation material coming for you. Silica in T5, toxic to inhale and can be poisonous. And so it can be. Here's where it gets interesting. So the silica you're going to have to get so much hotter than I think you would ever get to. And somebody, if you know, I actually I can Google it, but 99% sure the silica you're going to have to get way too hot to even, you know, get anywhere near its melting point. So it should just, you know, like be on the Q-tip or whatever if it was in the dab, right? But the T5 is a particulate that is so small that it is toxic to inhalant, because it's terrible for your bronchial tissue. It just clogs everything all up. Having said that, I'm not sure what it would do in a hash oil, how it could possibly be dried and re-released into the air. When when I'm taking back apart my hollow, when I remediate something with that powder in it, I'm masked up and everything again, because I've used the proper amount of solvent. That it's kind of caked down a little bit, but as soon as I touch it or move it a little bit with a screwdriver, it is just that same lighter than air powder that just will crawl right down into your lungs. Total shit. But not sure if you can see. I sure did a good job of covering it up with the computer monitor. But okay, a silly main fraction over here, which I do have to. And to be specific, I use and generally see other extraction artists or extraction techs using silica 60A. So that's what we are going to Google. And silica 60A is just the size and shape of it, I believe, if I'm correct, with the kernel or the round. So its melting point is 1,713 degrees Celsius. So 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 3,500. There's no way, Yeah, that's different silica that we're talking about, stuff that's used for remediation and extraction. But it's honestly the same. No, I mean, it's the exact same idea. I mean, it's the same molecule. This is just being used the same way, like diatomaceous earth and things like that are used in soil to kind of space it apart. This is, anyway, you're never going to get that hot. If you do get that hot, holy shit, you're actually blowing glass. But the carbon, the issue there is whether or not it's going to be something that you would breathe in. If you're dabbing it, theoretically, it's just going to be in the char. I don't think it would vaporize or carry in the vapor or anything like that. It can't. It would have to dry out again for it to be as light or lighter than air. So I don't know. The easiest way to do this is to take, like, let's pretend this is iso or ethanol or whatever you have access to. You take a little dab of whatever you have, or however much you want to do it to test with, a little chunk, and dissolve it. And if it's clean, it will completely, I mean, if there's nothing in it, or the remediation was done properly, or if it wasn't remediated, or whatever you want to know, if it completely dissolves, you're good to go. Any one of those things, that carbon or that silica, they will not dissolve in alcohol. So, and I think you actually can get some of the carbon to dissolve, but it will fall right back out. Let's see what's up. Let's see. I would love to have a fractioning head. That would be cool as shit. And honestly, if I had a fractioning head, it wouldn't be like a question about what this is, and it wouldn't be me keep going in with my note and like, and I have like almost no sense of smell, but I did it so much later than ethanol, and so far before things get warm or too warm for a terp collection. So we'll see. But we only got about a couple more minutes here. Sea light, yes, we use that in winterization. I use that when I dissolve something in ethanol, and then I'll make a bed of sea light in my Hockstrom or Buckner or whatever you use to funnel it. You put filter paper down and you make a bed of sea light, and I use a little bit of ethanol to wet it and kind of pack it down with my gloves. And then you pull your winterized material directly out of your freezer and pour it into that while it's under vacuum, and that's how you get this. I do that just before I rotovap, which is what we have here. And then after I'm done rotovapping, I come over here and distill. All right. You get melting metal, thank you. See what I mean? Like 3,000. Oh man, that's weird. But either way, the Patreon members anybody that's over there has literally just been showing me love, and because I haven't posted. I've posted there less than I've posted here. It's been an interesting year. But that's not what this channel's for. The important thing is that we're live again, because I'm actually in a place that I've been working on for long enough and have licensing on the wall, etc. I think I'm going to bring you content again for a little while, at least a little while. Hopefully, a long time. This is a wonderful facility. But I'm going to. Oh, that's what's up. No, for the record, Joanne, I don't think you need a license to do anything just at your home. I mean, this isn't like you. It looks like you would. The only thing where licensing stuff like that comes in is where if you need to order specific chemicals that are restricted or anything like that. This is just using the chemistry that's available to you if you are willing to learn how to use to put together a couple pieces of glass and make sure your vacuum pump is beefy and badass enough. Oh, and then of course, as hot as you can, exactly as hot as you need to get it on this side of the system, while keeping it super cold on this side of the system, so that we're trapping any vapor that's making it past before it gets to the pump. But I don't think any of this, I mean, I guess where you could get into illegal issues if you were not distilling CBD and you were distilling THC, let's say. If that was the case, then I guess without a license you could get into issues with possession amounts, because if you're pulling a quarter of a liter of THC distillate, then, well, if you're getting anywhere close to purity, we're talking about 225,000 milligrams or more of activated THC. So depending on your state or county or local municipality, they may not take a liking to that. Shit, sorry guys, I got a new phone. I don't know how to use it. No, thank you. Appreciate it. I can't remember what her name was, but she was very sweet. The quality. So a lot of times I will make my distillate, and here's the yes and no. It doesn't. I get to the same quality either way, but with bubble hash or with just taking my bubble bags and literally soaking in ethanol, which sounds crazy, but you're making a product that you're going to distill anyway, so you can beat it up. You know what I mean? So starting with bubble hash, you would think, just because it's a solventless product, etc., it would be, easier or better. But when you think about it this way, bubble hash, like that little bit of char that it leaves in the banger, let's say it's full melt or whatever, right? Because if for some reason you had a bunch of that and you want to distill it, right? But it's whatever it is, you have that amount of char to an exponential amount more that you still have to filter out and get completely removed, as well as any lipid content, before you can do this without this. Because this, if you do that before doing that, or if you distill before doing that, God, I'm stuck. Sorry, if you distill just bubble hash oil that you, let's say, just warmed up, you will have an incredibly cloudy, dirty, gross ball. Things like lipids and fats will distill over with it. You have to take it through a specific filtration and winterization process to be able to get this clarity and this quality of product and have it be this clarity and this quality for a long, long time. And by that I mean shelf stability. So after this is used to make carts, those carts, number one, they look even more clear than that, which is insane. But it's they maintain their color and they maintain their clarity for an incredibly long time. After some time, a year and a half, you'll start to see red at the top, which is the oxidation ring. But that's just because it's been exposed to air. So, yep, you got it. No, man, my bad. This is licensed material. This is CBD. Because honestly, I don't know about talking too much about Delta 9 THC while doing a live extraction of it. That might be dangerous. So this specifically is a CBD distillation today. Damn, that's thick. So what's crazy again is like when you pay as much as you pay for this kind of glassware, when you pay as much as you pay for this glassware, and you think, if you're feeling like you were overcharged, you're able to do things like that. And from the meter that my vacuum, how deep or the depth of vacuum that I'm pulling, according to my vacuum gauge, which is a pretty accurate vacuum gauge as far as what's available to the consumer here in the States. But with that depth of vacuum, being able to apply that amount of heat, enough heat that it can get through this thick glass here and actually heat up the distillate enough for it to empty, and it doesn't crack or implode or anything like that, it's just crazy. It's expensive for a reason. And then of course the head is all vacuum jacketed, and that's basically how it functions as well as it does. All right, guys, we're out of time. All I know is that GMO rosin is literally my jam. And you say you got GMO rosin jam, well, that's what's up. Personally, I love it. I love solventless products. But when I can get it in melt form and it's clean enough, like I'm currently lucky enough to have, GMO is absolutely where it's at. I love dabbing melts with that. It's charry and it makes a little mess of your round bottom banger or whatever, but dude, it's my favorite terpene profile. Has been for years. Nice. Very cool, Dirty. That's what's up. Just plain crazy. Huh. Very cool. Oklahoma native growers, that's what's up. Joe, you're very welcome, homie. Right on, Winston. We all agree. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. And by that I mean I got a couple other things to do while this is finishing up. So, peace. I'll see you sooner than later. And let everybody know I'm back.